Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. People say, well, was the SHOT Show? Yes, we did have a SHOT Show. It was a little bit smaller in attendance, but larger in scope, and a lot of new things coming out of there with a lot of people talking about, wow, did you see this? Did you see that? And one of the things that everybody wanted to talk about, everybody wanted to show you a video, is from the folks over at Franklin Armory. We're lucky right now to be joined by the president of Franklin Armory. Jay Jacobson joins us. Hey, Jay, thank you for joining us, man.
Good afternoon, Tom. Thank you for the kind words.
Well, sure. I mean, you guys are, well, now I say you shake it up. You've been shaking it up for quite a while, all sorts of new things, innovative things. And I mean, I think innovative may be the overused, but for you guys, it absolutely applies.
Well, that's very kind of you. I think in order to be successful in this day and age, you got to do things a little different than everybody else, and just jump in there and find a niche that works and is exploitable and develop new products and bring them to market.
Probably you guys are best known for the binary triggers, although that's certainly not the only thing you guys do, but it's one of the things that people go, oh, wow, have you seen this thing? Can you believe this? And once they get into it, they go, that's pretty cool. So you've been doing that for a while. And then why don't you just go ahead and pick the thing you want to talk about coming out of SHOT Show, and we'll start on one and work our way through. Okay.
Well, the biggest thing, of course, was the binary trigger for the GLOCK 17. It's we call it the GS173. G is for Glock, S is for a straight profile on the trigger, and then it's a 17 Gen 3. And as we go through the lineup for the various different Glock configurations, unfortunately, we have to do one for each variation and for each model. So the 22 will be different than the 17. There are a lot of 22 owners out there still.
Right.
The 21 will be different still, and of course, for each variation. So with the GS173, we've created a nomenclature to make it easy to know which trigger it's designed, which gun that trigger is designed to go into.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense. Now, for those if there are people that don't know, binary trigger goes bang when you pull the trigger, goes bang when you release the trigger, so it allows you to shoot very fast. And we're familiar with that in the AR platforms and other platforms you've had it, but now in a Glock, to be able to shoot that fast, and I mean, I'm looking at video from people who were out at range day, and this thing's amazing. What can you do with this?
There's a couple of features that we got to put out there first, right?
Okay.
So it's selectable, right? So you have your basic semi works normal, and then we have this other semi function. It's called binary fire, and like you say, it fires on pull and release. And then the next question that everybody always asks is, well, what happens if I pull the trigger back and want to cancel that second shot?
Right.
Well, the answer always is move it back to semi, and you can release the trigger safely. And if the threat is still worthy of engagement, you can still go back to that. So that's one of the biggest things of what made the original for the AR successful, because it had those safety features built into it. Now with the Glock, it's got the safety, several safeties built into it, but obviously a prominent one on the trigger itself. And so it only needs a two-position selector, and that is on the slide. It has up for semi and down for binary, and it doesn't have a third position on it at this time, but that's something that we could look at in the future, maybe for a different model.
So am I understanding that you need to replace the slide on your Glock, right? That's what this is.
Yes, sir. We'll be selling this with the trigger components as well as the slide, because there's some features in the slide that had to be cut differently in order to make the whole thing work. It all started back in April, and I came up with an idea to make this work, and I went to our chief engineer, who's also a partner in the company, and because he's earned it. And I said, hey, I got this idea. And he's like, yeah, that'll work. He came back a week later, then improved upon that idea to the form factor of what we have now. And I'm like, okay, hat tip, you win. It's incredible.
And I know that people are thinking, okay, that would be really fun at the range. And it is. It's all of that. You go, bang, 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 real fast. But from a practical standpoint, people are going to go, what's that about? And let me just and I'm sure you've got some examples, but I'm just going to throw out a thought here. And that is, for self-defense, we often talk about doing a double tap, which is, if somebody's basically trying to cut off your head and stick it on the end of a pole, or trying to kill you or your family members, shoot them twice is not a bad idea, because once you decide to shoot them, you might want to shoot them to make it even more effective. And we really go to the range, we work and work and work on our double taps, trying to get our speed up. It seems to me this, if nothing else, I mean, among all the other things you could do, this is like the perfect double tap rig. Well,
as civilians or even law enforcement that carry a gun for defense or what have you, you are responsible for every round that goes downrange. I had a friend of mine that once said, you throw a lawyer downrange for every shot you fire, right?
Right.
And so you don't want to do anything that's going to cause a problem for you on liability. However, when you do fire in binary mode, you can pull, take a deep breath, and release and fire with longer dispersion, or you can put your finger on the trigger and come off the trigger quickly, in which case you'll get two rounds closer together than you would with two pulls. And what I mean by that is it'll be faster, and those rounds won't have a chance to come off target as much. Right. So you're in control. You can shoot it as quickly or as slowly and deliberately as you want. You're giving people more options, I think, is really one way to put it. Right. I mean, with law enforcement especially, they may be in an environment like a dope grow. I don't know, even hunters. I myself have walked into a dope grow and went, oh, boy, I need to get out of here. Well, if you had to break contact, having a binary function might be a nice tool to have at that point. Yeah. I think we can all kind of come up with ideas. And then, of course, then you got to get out and train with it and learn how to use it and all the rest of it. So you got the first one, the GS17 173, but there are going to be more coming along. What's our timeline on the first one and then the follow-ons? Well, the first one we're hoping to get out there before the end of the second quarter. Getting materials these days is rather problematic, but they're en route. And we're getting the final production programming. We're getting that started right now. We finished the R&D programming, and of course, it's different going from R&D to production. Sure. So that's all en route, and then we'll be working on the others throughout the year, and hopefully getting some more out before Black Friday. Okay, and for those who don't know, if they go to franklinarmory.com, they'll also discover, if they don't know, that you're actually in the gun making business too, because you got a lot of different firearms that you're selling and making. It's been a challenging year trying to meet that demand in the last year, but yes, definitely we've got a whole separate machine shop that's plugging away on a daily basis. They do wonderful work, and we're real proud of them. And but just trying to keep up with demand is a challenge. We do complete firearms. In fact, one of them that has been somewhat overshadowed by this Glock trigger is our new F17. We had a 17 Winchester Super Magnum rimfire before the pandemic, and we wanted to upgrade it. And when the pandemic hit, we just focused on trying to get all the guns out that we could, the center fire guns. But during that time, we tasked our engineers with redesigning the piston and the handguard so that they would fit under a handguard that is a slimline M-LOK handguard. And so we redesigned that as well. And so that was actually also launched at the show and was out there for reviewers to shoot with, and you could find videos online with that. So that's a 17 Winchester Super Magnum, not the HMR. So you get 3,000 feet per second out of those little guys. And I'm looking at it online. It's also a really good-looking rifle. I mean, that was I was going to ask you about it. It's like I'm looking at this and thinking, prairie dogs come to mind, varmints of all sorts. I mean, I'm just looking at this thing. This would be a hoot and a half. This would be a cool rifle. You're still looking at maybe quarter two Q2 for this as well? Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Very cool. All right. Well, I really appreciate your time, Jay, and I would just advise people, go take a look at all the innovative things you're doing at franklinarmory.com. Congratulations on the new innovations here, and I just can't wait to get my hands on some of these. Well, thanks a bunch, Tom. It's a pleasure to be here, and God bless, and have a good time watching the Super Bowl later today. All righty. You take care.